Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Smadharanga Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees online. Thank you very much for your time and association as we continue associating with Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 19, verses 25 to 40. We're going to be concluding this chapter, the appearance of Sukadev Goswami. Om Jnanatmivandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmei Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sva Padantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahgana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanas Hitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaskute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhani Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sarva Shastra Payusham Sarva Vaireka Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokai Triprada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavato Prabhu Kalidvando Didaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most prominent transfer fruit of all the Vedas, O you are enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O life breath of the Vaishnava devotees. O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pathaya Prema Varshasha Rayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastute. Oshim Bhagavatam, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. By reading you one attains transcendental bliss, for your syllables rain pure love of God upon the reader. You always to be served by everyone, for you are incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madekabandhu Mat Sangim Mad Guru Man Mahadana Man Nishtaraka Mad Bhagya Madananda Namastute. Oshimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. Asadu Sadhu Tadahin Attini Chocha Tarakam Anamuncha Kada Chinmam Premna Ritkatiyospura. Oshimad Bhagavatam, O give us saintliness around saintly, O uplift to the very fallen. Please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest my heart and my throat, accompany pure love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadyasya Yutonvayati Taratas Chartes Svabhigna Swarat Tene Brahma Hidaya Adikavaye Muyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatvati Sargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. O my Lord Shri Krishna, Son of a Spirit, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is absolute truth and the primal cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations and is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed in delusion as one is bewildered by illusory representation of water seen in fire, land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes appear factual or will be unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in transcendental abode, which is forever free from illusory representation of material world. I meditate upon him. He is the absolute truth. Rainal Paisha Sabya Kalavasmin Yuge Jana Manda Sumanda Mateo Manda Bhagyo Padrata. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, many but short life, that quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Narayana Maskritya Narachevam Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of Godhead Narayan. Unto Narayan wishes, the most human being, and the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasa, the author. Savai Pumso Parodharmo Yadopaktera Dokchaje Ahitukya Pratyata Yatma Suprasidati. Supreme occupation, dharma of all humanities, that by which man can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatyasa Vairagyam Jnanam Chayadahaitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of God, Sri Krishna, one immediately causes knowledge and detachment from the world. Vadanti tattva vidas tattvam yajgnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti sabhyate. Learned transcendentals who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan. Shrushu Shosha Dadanasya Vasudeva Kata Ruchi Syan Mahatsavaya Vipara Punya Tirtan Shevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Shranvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hriddan Pustoya Bhadrani. We do not even Suritsatam Sri Krishna, the person of the Godhead, who is Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor, truthful devotee, cleanses desire from material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to use messages which are in themselves virtues and properly heard and chanted. Nasta prayashu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatottama sloke bhaktir bhavati nashtaki. By regular attendance in the classes in the Bhagavatam, by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the person of the Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam based on teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Hare Krishna, and welcome again. Let us recap anything you remembered from chapter 19, verses 8 to 24, our last session. Anything that caught your attention that you remembered, please type that in the chat. It'll take a few minutes to go over those points. So while you are typing, we'll cover two statements of Srila Prabhupada's power statements. Prabhupada says, and the most important function of a devotee is to have complete attachment for Lord Shri Krishna, the Father of all living beings. As a good son of the Father behaves in a friendly way with all his other brothers, so also devotees of the Lord, being a good son of the Supreme Father, Lord Krishna, sees all other living beings in relation with the Supreme Father. He tries to bring back the upstart sons of the Father to a saner stage and to get them to accept supreme fatherhood of God. So the devotee, he behaves in a friendly way with all living entities, not just those, like not just human beings, but all living entities, birds, bees, insects, reptiles, all living entities. And he tries to relate with them in a way to guide them to accept the Supreme Father. Then Prabhupada says the devotional service of the Lord is so auspicious that all demigods, all sages, and the Lord himself become pleased with the devotee. Therefore, the devotee finds everything auspicious. So we have to have this faith and conviction that if I am practicing devotional service, then they can only be auspiciousness. And that auspiciousness is there experienced throughout one's life and future lives. It doesn't mean that one is not impacted by the negative karmic reaction of those around one, because there is individual karma and collective karma. But the life of a devotee will always be auspicious. Going forward in one's life, there will always be auspiciousness. Right, so Hemavati Radhika says, we want to go back home, back to Godhead in eternal service to Krishna as the highest goal, not to be free from suffering. Yes. Have strong determination in following Srila Prabhupada like the sparrow. So Prabhupada emphasizes that if one is a neophyte, if one is new to Krishna consciousness, then going back to Godhead is a good desire, because it's taking one out of the material environment and the complexity, the desires that one gets entangled in the material world, to a higher desire to go out, to transcend, and to leave this material world, to go back to the spiritual world. So in the beginning stages, that's good to encourage people to go back home, back to Godhead. But then as one evolves and advances in Krishna consciousness, then going back to Godhead becomes a secondary focus, or it doesn't even become the focus. Then what becomes the focus? To engage in devotional service. Whether in the material world, whether in hellish planets, whether in the spiritual, whether in heavenly planets, material world, back to the material world, doesn't matter. Another universe, immaterial. The spiritual world is where there is service, eternal service to Krishna. And that eternal service shields one, engages one in blissful relation with Krishna. So therefore, a devotee's desire is simply to be engaged eternally in the service of the Lord, and to always have the association of like-minded devotees, where one is engaged in the service of the Lord. So therefore, Prabhupada, in this purpose I've been reading, Prabhupada, is emphasizing going back to Godhead, to reconnect, to be eternally engaged in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada also gave us the prayer of the Hare Krishna mantra to be engaged in eternal service of the Lord. So service becomes the focus, the priority, immaterial of the destination. And that is why a devotee also does not really fear death. Why? Because while living, he's engaged in devotional service. While dying, he's trying to remember Krishna. And after death, he will take birth again in whichever position Krishna wants, whichever destination Krishna desires, and continue serving Krishna. So in this way, there is service before and after, and all auspicious. And yes, we need to have the determination of a sparrow. Prabhupada gave that example. So we really have to intensify our determination. Nalinikanta Prabhu says, our lives are blessed to be connected to Srila Prabhupada and our esteemed Parampara. We are proud of this. Yes, Prabhupada says, to have this pride, this is good. This is conducive, favorable, anukul to bhakti. That I'm connected to such personalities and have knowledge, have this supreme gift of wisdom and knowledge, which itself is very rare, and so many living entities don't have access. And we have access, we have faith to whatever percentage or degree in that knowledge, and we're also practicing. So in that way, we are greatly blessed and fortunate. Shamananda Prabhu says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, something really amazing we see in the pastime of Maharaj Parikshit is that although he was the ruler of the whole world, he left the kingdom, family, etc. when he received that notice and really gave focus to prepare for death. And here we are holding on to insignificant items like home, car, money, and other attachment, and he left behind a whole kingdom to prepare for death. Yes. So that is a very instructive lesson. Now, in saying that, it's interesting, Maharaj Parikshit, he's saying, I was very attached, but Krishna is forcing me to become detached. And he's teaching us by his own example that, yes, sometimes we naturally, first we have to appreciate, understand that nothing belongs to us in the first place. Just like they're fighting, Israel are fighting, this is our land, because where Gaza is, there's a mosque, and that mosque The Christians want the mosque, the Palestinians want the mosque, and the Muslims want the mosque. So everybody wants a mosque because why? It's a religious pilgrimage site for them. So to desire a pilgrimage site and have a pilgrimage site, that is conducive to bhakti. But the challenge is that they all want that site. So then there's a conflict. It's our, it's our land. It belongs to us, but actually it doesn't belong to any of them. It belongs to Krishna. Because before all these religious systems came to this world, the land was there and it belonged to Krishna. So in this way, when we understand that everything in our possession really is not owned by us, it's Krishna's. With that in mind, whatever Krishna has given me, I can use it in his service. And if he decides to take it out or remove it, confiscate it, reallocate it, that's up to his sweet will. And in that way, we simply see how whatever is coming to us is meant to engage in Krishna's service, and we become less attached to those things. Because having a complete, a mentality of nothing belongs to me, therefore I'm totally detached, that can also be unfavorable for bhakti. Like Sudama. Sudama had excessive renunciation. Okay? So we don't want this mentality of excessive renunciation, of total disinterest, disregard. At the same time, we don't want excessive attachment that stops us from progressing. We want to have yukta vairagya, engaging everything in the service of Krishna as much as Krishna provides. And in this way, it becomes favorable. So that needs to be cultivated. That needs to be cultivated. It's not automatic. We need to keep educating ourselves and keep practicing the process of Krishna consciousness so that we become fixed in devotional service. And when the time is right, we're ready to let go. Now, that being said, let's say we are excessively attached and we can't let go like Maharaj Parikshit. And time comes, the bell rings, and it's time to leave, and we hold on. No problem. Krishna will see, oh yes, he's excessively attached. So Krishna will do two things. If Krishna knows that we are excessively attached, then Krishna can, before we leave, purify us of those attachments so that our future is, we set free. Or we go through the death experience and Krishna knows we attach and we become attached like Jad Bharat. He was attached to the deer. Then Krishna gives him a position suitable in relation to that attachment, that anartha, but to remove that anartha. So Krishna has that. Krishna does that, that he will allow us to go through that experience, at the same time remove that anartha. So like Jad Bharat learned his lesson. Because for Krishna, taking one more birth is insignificant. Taking 311 trillion 40 billion in births is basically a blink of an eye for Krishna. So if it takes you so many lifetimes to learn your lesson, so be it. From Krishna's perspective, it's like a moment. But the lesson becomes learned. So it's not the end of the world. But at the same time, why try to place ourselves in difficulties when we are educated, when we know? Prabhupada said that's first-class intelligence. Okay, I know I shouldn't steal because I'll get caught and put in jail. Therefore, no more stealing. That's why we observe the vows, or we follow the 4 principles: no meat eating, no sex, no gambling, etc. So in that way, we know that these are sinful activities, and therefore I do not want to engage in them, and that saves us from so much difficulties. So yes, either way, we should still have a positive mindset. And yes, I'm attached, so we can pray to Krishna, my Lord, you know me, I'm very attached to all these things. Therefore, you please help me become detached, help me use everything in your service, and do what's best for me so that I can be attached to your lotus feet. So we can pray in this way. No challenge or no difficulty at all. Right. Thank you very much for everyone's feedback. Let us proceed. So we're going to now continue from 25 to 40. Sukadev Goswami is now arriving on the scene. Text 25. Tatra bhavat bhagavan vyasa putro yadruchayagam atmano napaksham alaksha lingo nija labha tushto vetascha balay avadutavesha. At that moment, there appeared the powerful son of Vyasadeva, who traveled over the earth, disinterested and satisfied with himself. He did not manifest any symptoms of belonging to any social order or status of life. He was surrounded by women and children and was dressed as if others had neglected him. So much. So Sukadev Goswami now has arrived. Prabhupada writes, because in the purport, it says, Tatra Bhagavat Bhagavan Vyasaputra. So Prabhupada says, the word Bhagavan is sometimes used in relation with some of the great devotees of the Lord, like Sukadeva Goswami. Such liberated souls are disinterested in the affairs of this material world because they are self-satisfied by the great achievements of devotional service. So the first point is Bhagavan can be used in reference to great devotees. Bhagavan Narad, Bhagavan Vyasadeva, Bhagavan Sukadeva Goswami. But they clearly know that they are not God. And Prabhupada says that such liberated souls are disinterested in the affairs of this material world because they are self-satisfied by the great achievements of devotional service. As we advance more and more in devotional service, we will become more and more satisfied. And because we become more internally satisfied, our source of happiness is not external. Nothing in this material world attracted Sukadeva Goswami. And because nothing of this material world attracted Sukadeva Goswami, because he was completely satisfied, Atma Rama, in himself, there was no attachment to the external world. See, we get security, we get solace, we get happiness, we get satisfaction, we get emotional fulfillment from the external environment in this material world. And because we get those things, we become attached, just like a child. If you give a child, an ice cream, he becomes attached to it. Why? It's giving him taste. So he becomes attached to it. His source of pleasure is the ice cream. As soon as you take the ice cream or you take the toy that gives him pleasure, he's going to throw a tantrum. When someone is internally satisfied, which means he's Atma Rama, he's connected with Krishna in eternal service, and that's where his bliss is, that's where his joy is, then the external factor drops off completely. Because now he's not getting pleasure from the external environment. He's getting pleasure from devotional service, from his relationship with Krishna. So this is how we can become detached naturally by becoming attached to devotional service and to Krishna. So it's a steady progressive path. We need to become more and more attached by engaging more and more in devotional service. As explained before, Sukadeva Goswami never accepted any formal spiritual master, nor did he undergo any formal reformatory performances. His father Vyasadeva was his natural spiritual master because Sukadeva Goswami heard Srimad Bhagavatam from him. After this, he became completely self-satisfied. Thus, he was not dependent on any formal process. The formal process was necessary for those who were expected to reach the stage of complete liberation. But Sukadeva Goswami was already in that status by the grace of his father. As a young boy, he was expected to be properly dressed, but he went about naked and was uninterested in social customs. He was neglected by the general populace, and inquisitive boys and women surrounded him as if he were a madman. He thus appeared on the scene while traveling on the earth on his own accord. It appears that upon the inquiry of Maharaj Parikshit, the great sages were not unanimous in their decision as to what was to be done. 4. The ultimate aim of life is to attain the highest perfection stage of devotional service. For spiritual salvation, there are many prescriptions according to different modes of different persons. But the ultimate aim of life is to attain the highest perfectional stage of devotional service to the Lord. As doctors differ, so also sages differ in their different prescriptions. While such things were going on, the great and powerful son of Vyasadeva appeared on the scene. So remember, last week we ended up where Maharaj Parikshit inquired from all the exalted sages that were sitting there. That 2 questions. What is the best activity in all place, in all times that one should engage in? And especially for someone who is about to die, what should they do? What's the highest thing that they should do? And because there were a wide variety of transcendentalists present, they could not come to an agreement of what can we suggest. So as they were discussing and trying to figure out, what is the one thing we can present to Maharaj Parikshit, all of a sudden, Krishna arranges for Sukadeva Goswami to appear. Now, Sukadeva Goswami is traveling the universe, or you could say he's traveling the earth at this point in time. He doesn't have a GPS. He doesn't have an itinerary. Okay, I'm going to go, from India, I'll go to this place and this place and this place and then travel here and then visit this person. No, there's no, he's completely aloof of the environment. He's totally absorbed. He's Atmarama. So he's traveling practically without any itinerary, but Krishna is directing him where to give mercy and blessings. So here we see a classic example. Maharaj Parikshit was cursed. Completely negative situation. Alarming situation. Not like he's going to be ill. No, he's going to die in 7 days. So disastrous news came upon Maharaj Parikshit. But Maharaj Parikshit took that, a completely Krishna conscious light, and acted on it. It showed his sincerity. Even though internally his consciousness was, I'm fallen, I'm attached, but the Lord is so merciful, he's forcing me to become detached. See, Krishna was looking at the sincerity of action, the sincerity of purpose, not the shortcomings. Krishna does not look at the shortcomings. Krishna looks at your intention, your sincerity of purpose. So we may have faults, we may have attachments, but what is my intention? What do I want? That is what Krishna sees. And because Krishna saw that sincerity, Krishna made arrangements. Sukadeva Goswami, who travels the world, all of a sudden appeared at the right time, at the right place, at the right moment, where he was required by Krishna's mercy. So like that, in our own lives, if we are simply sincere and serious about what we're doing, whatever we want, Krishna will send at the right time, right place, right circumstance. We simply have the proper intention, sincerity, and act according to our capacity. See, Maharaj Parikshit, he acted on that sincerity. He gave up the kingdom. Okay, I got 7 days. Let me give it to my son. I'm out of here. And he left. So Krishna is seeing that action. He didn't know how he's going to leave. He didn't know how to counteract the snake bird. He didn't have that knowledge. He didn't know what to do, even though he is a pure devotee. He's teaching by example. I don't know what to do at this moment. So I need help. I need guidance. But how does Krishna judge and gauge that sincerity? By him giving up, handing over his kingdom and saying, okay, right, let me go to the Ganges and fast. So he's taking the vow of fasting. He's giving up the kingdom. Those are all actions that he's performing himself to show his sincerity to Krishna. So similarly, Krishna sees our sincerity. What are we doing to prove to him that we're serious about him? Because I can say I'm serious. Do you want to be Krishna conscious? Yes. Do you want to go back to Godhead? Yes. Do you like Krishna? Yes. Do you want to love Krishna? Yes. So to say yes is easy. But to show that yes by action, that is a little more difficult. So Krishna sees the actions. Yes, I'm serious about Krishna consciousness. So then I take the vows of initiation. See, that taking the vows of initiation is showing seriousness, commitment. Yes, I want Krishna. I'm chanting my minimum 16 rounds. It's showing commitment. It's action that speaks louder than words. Because words are free, words are cheap. Anyone can say anything. But Krishna sees the actions, and when the actions and the words are aligned, and Krishna sees that even with your shortcomings, you are serious, Krishna makes arrangements. So therefore, we should have firm faith. No matter what happens, in one's environment, the sincerity of our Krishna consciousness will always bring auspiciousness. It cannot bring anything but auspiciousness. Text 26. Tyam dvashta varsham sukumarapada karorubhavam sa kapolagatram charvakyatak sonasa tulyakarna subravanam nanam kambhu sujata katam. This son of Vyasadeva was only 16 years old. His legs, hands, thighs, arms, shoulders, forehead, and the other parts of his body were all delicately formed. His eyes were beautifully wide, and his nose and ears were highly raised. He had a very attractive face, and his neck was well formed and beautiful like a conch shell. Purport. A respectable personality is described beginning with the legs. And this honored system is observed here with Sukadeva Goswami. He was only 16 years of age. A person is honored by his achievements, not for advanced age. A person can be older by experience and not by age. Sri Sukadeva Goswami is described herein as the son of Vyasadeva, was by his knowledge more experienced than all the sages present there, although he was only 16 years old. So first point, starting from the legs, we find Queen Kunti also, she wanted to glorify Krishna from the feet. But then because Krishna would be embarrassed, she glorified Krishna's face and then continued from the feet. Seeing the deities also from the feet is very auspicious. Nectar Devotion says, when you greet the deities and you see the deities' feet up going to the lotus face, it sharpens your intelligence. So the etiquette is glorifying the exalted devotees from feet up. Then the other point Prabhupada is making, that experience, that is what dictates advancement, not age. And Sukadeva Goswami is only 16 years of age, but his experience, his realizations, as Prabhupada is saying, is far more than all the sages present there. So naturally, all those sages, just seeing Sukadeva Goswami's features, could appreciate that here comes a great exalted personality, no ordinary person, just from his features. 27. Niguda Jatrum Prithu Tunga Vakshanam Avartanabhim Vali Valgudaram Cha Dig Ambaram Vaktra Vikirna Kesham Parlamba Bahum Swamarota Mavam. His collarbone was fleshy, his chest broad and thick, his navel deep, and his abdomen beautifully striped. His arms were long, and curly hair was strewn over his beautiful face. He was naked, and the hue of his body reflected that of Lord Krishna. About his bodily features indicate him to be different from common man. All signs described in connection with the bodily features of Sukadeva Goswami are uncommon symptoms typical of great personalities according to their physiognomical calculations. His bodily hue resembled that of Lord Krishna, who is the supreme among the gods, demigods, and all living beings. 28. Shamam Sadap Pivyavayo Galakshmya Strinam Manonam Suchira Smitena Pratyutitas Te Munayo Swa Shenabhyas Talakshana Gna Api Guda Varchasam. He was blackish and was very beautiful due to his youth. Because of the glamour of his body and his attractive smiles, he was pleasing to women. Though he tried to cover his natural glories, the great sages present there were all expert in the art of physiognomy. And so they honored him by raising from their seats. 29. Sa Vishnu Rato Tittaya Agataya Tasmei Saparyam Shirasha Jahara Tato Nivritaya Buddha Striyok Baka Mahasane Sopa Vivasha Pujita Maj Parikshit, who is also known as Vishnu Ratha, one who is always protected by Vishnu, bowed his head to receive the chief guest, Sukadeva Goswami. And at that time, all the ignorant women and boys ceased following Srila Sukadeva, receiving respect from all. Sukadeva Goswami took his exalted seat. Purport. On Sukadeva Goswami's arrival at the meeting, everyone except Srila Vyasadeva, Narad, and a few others stood up. And Maj Parikshit, who was glad to receive a great devotee of the Lord, bowed down before him with all the limbs of his body. Sukadeva Goswami also exchanged greetings and reception by embrace, shaking hands, nodding, bowing, and bowing down, especially before his father and Narad Muni. Thus he was offered the presidential seat at the meeting. When he was so received by the kings and sages, street boys and less intelligent women who followed him were struck with wonder and fear. So they retired from their frivolous activities, and everything was full of gravity and calm. So the children, women, they thought, yeah, he's a crazy man. And if somebody is dressed naked and disinterested, people would throw stones and like same with like Rishabdev, people would throw stones, spit at him, etc. Because this is how ignorant people deal with aloof avadutas. So Sukadeva Goswami was like that, being followed by children and these women, less intelligent women, mocking him, etc. But then when they saw the king offer him such respect, then they could understand, oh, careful. There's no ordinary, looks like a crazy fellow, but doesn't, we can conclude he's not a crazy fellow because look, everyone's giving respect, especially the king. And naturally, they know the king, they know Maharaj Parikshit, so they observe and they follow. So king is setting example, teaching by his example. And in this way, Sukadeva Goswami was given his exalted seat and everyone received him and he also greeted everyone appropriately. 30. Sa sambritas tatra mahan mahiyasham brahmarsi rajarshi devarsi sanghai vyaro chatalam bhagavan yatendur graharsha taranikare parita. Sukadeva Goswami was then surrounded by saintly sages, demigods, and kings, just as the moon is surrounded by stars, planets, and other heavenly bodies. His presence was gorgeous, and he was respected by all. So just consider, he did not say one word. Because Prabhupada makes it very clear, a fool is recognized when he speaks. Even a great sage is recognized when he speaks. Maharaj Parikshit did not even say a single word. Just by his external appearance, everyone could understand that this person is no ordinary person. His beautiful features, his youthfulness, his Krishna consciousness was coming, permeating through his bodily features. Paramhamsa's great personalities, Mahabhagavats, they have certain bodily features, broad chest, etc. Different bodily features that are described. And just by understanding the bodily features, one can understand, yes, this is no doubt a great person. Similarly, those who are very sinful, who do not follow, who are not regulated, you'll see that in their physique, in their features. They age quicker. The face becomes an index of the mind. You can see that, yeah, this person is inside is turmoil or inside is bliss. One can see just from the face and from the bodily features. In the great assembly of saintly personalities, there was Vyasadeva, Brahmashi, Narad, Devarshi, Parshuram, the great ruler, Kshatriya king, etc. Some of them were powerful incarnations of the Lord. Sukadeva Goswami was not known as a Brahmashi, Rajarshi, or Devarshi, nor was he an incarnation like Narad, Vyasa, or Parshuram. And yet, he excelled them in the respects paid. This means that a devotee of the Lord is more honored in the world than the Lord himself. One should therefore never minimize the importance of a devotee like Sukadeva Goswami. So the lesson is, firstly, don't judge the book by its cover, because externally he's naked, looks inattentive, not interested, but great exalted personality that is getting the glory that's deserving, but even more honored than the Lord. So like that, Srila Prabhupada also. Externally, we see Srila Prabhupada in this world, but then on a higher level, the demigods, great devotees are also honoring and glorifying Prabhupada for his achievements. they can see what we cannot see. Because we're seeing very laterally, one-dimensional. But higher beings, they're able to see on a different dimension. And we know even the demigods like Narad Muni, Goswamis, they visited Srila Prabhupada. So they definitely could see what Srila Prabhupada was doing was extraordinary. And therefore the glory that he would be receiving is also extraordinary. And Krishna wants to glorify his devotees. Krishna becomes very happy when his devotees are glorified. Because Krishna is eternally glorified. He's already glorified. But when one glorifies the devotees, then Krishna becomes very, very happy. Just like Arjuna. If we had to say, well, Krishna arranged and killed everyone on the battlefield, that's wonderful, that's glorious. But Krishna wanted to glorify Arjuna, so therefore all the glory was given to Arjuna. And that gives greater pleasure to Krishna. 31. Prasantamashinam akuntamedasam munim nripo bhagavato vyupatya pranam yamud murdna vahita kritanjale natva gira sunri tayan vaprichat. The sage Sri Sukadeva Goswami sat perfectly pacified, ready to answer any question with full intelligence and without hesitation. The great devotee Maj Parikshit approached him, offered his respects by bowing before him, and politely inquired with sweet words and folded hands. The gesture now adopted by Maj Parikshit of questioning a master is quite befitting in terms of scriptural injunctions. The scriptural injunction is that one should humbly approach a spiritual master to understand transcendental science. Maj Parikshit was now prepared for meeting his death, and within a very short time of 7 days, he was to know the process of entering the kingdom of God. In such important cases, one is required to approach a spiritual master. There is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master unless one is in need of solving the problem of life. I will repeat. There is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master unless one is in need of solving the problem of life. So one should not get a spiritual master because of fashion, because my other family members got a spiritual master, because I want to get a different name, because he smiled at me. No. Or let me get a spiritual master and he'll tell me what color house I must paint, or what color, should the walls be, what car should I, get. That's not the purpose of the spiritual master. Spiritual master is there to solving the problems of life. So therefore, when we approach a spiritual master, that should be the focus. One who does not know how to put questions before the spiritual master has no business seeing him. So you can see Prabhupada is not entertaining, superficial business and relationship. Yeah, my Guru Maharaj smile at me and I smile at him and we're happy. That is not guru-disciple relationship. Spiritual master-disciple relationship is a serious business, Prabhupada would say. Why? Because it's to get you out of this material world, which is a serious business. So we have to be serious about our spiritual life. And if we're serious about our spiritual life, we'll get a serious spiritual master who then seriously handles our situation to seriously get us out. Otherwise, we will be seriously entangled and seriously be busy in this material world with no time and get caught up in everything else. And if we are serious about our spiritual life, sincere and serious, then we'll be able to see it in our advancement in our Krishna consciousness. If we just taking the spiritual master, if we taking even Srila Prabhupada, just as like fashion, then you'll see that also in your practice. You'll see that also in your advancement. It'll just be fashion. It'll just be, ordinary, or it'll just be dry, because you're not serious. But if you're serious and you're sincere, then the spiritual master will be serious and sincere, and your advancement will be serious and sincere. You will be able to see it. So if you're not advancing, don't blame the spiritual master. Don't blame Srila Prabhupada. Don't blame the process. Review your application of the process. Review your consciousness, your attitude of the process. Review the seriousness of the process, so that you can realign. Because in one lecture, Prabhupada writes, Maya Devi is a great devotee of Krishna. So why would she allow a nonsense to go and disturb Krishna? So her job is to make sure she evaluates. Are you serious? So we have to constantly educate ourselves, constantly remind ourselves, what is my intention? What's my focus? What's my purpose? And become more and more serious about the purpose of going back to Godhead. We have wasted billions and billions and billions of lifetimes, innumerable to count. And if we still haven't learned our lesson after so many lifetimes been wasted, from Krishna's perspective, he can give you another billion lifetimes. He can give you infinite lifetimes for you to learn your lesson. So we want to learn our lesson. We want to be completely convinced. Why am I here? What is my duty? What should I do? And do that. So therefore, one has to be serious. Prabhupada continues, one who does not know how to put questions before the spiritual master has no business seeing him. And the qualification of the spiritual master is perfectly manifest in the person of Sukadeva Goswami. Both the spiritual master and disciple, namely Sri Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit, attained perfection through the medium of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukadeva Goswami learned Srimad Bhagavatam from his father, Vyasadeva, but he had no chance to recite it. Before Maharaj Parikshit, he recited Srimad Bhagavatam and answered the questions of Maharaj Parikshit unhesitatingly. And thus both the master and the disciple got salvation. So the answer is Srimad Bhagavatam for attaining perfection, both by hearing and by speaking. 32. Parikshatu vacham aho adya vayam brahman satsevya shatra bandhava kripayati te rupena bhavad peace tirtaka kritam. The fortunate king said, the fortunate king Parikshit said, O Brahmana, by your mercy only, you have sanctified us, making us like unto places of pilgrimage. All by your presence, here as my guest. By your mercy, we, who are but unworthy royalty, have become eligible to serve the devotee. Saintly devotees like Sukadeva Goswami generally do not approach worldly enjoyers, especially those in royal orders. Maharaj Prabhupada was a follower of Lord Chaitanya, but he wanted to see the Lord, and the Lord refused to see him because he was a king. For a devotee who desires to go back to Godhead, two things are strictly prohibited: worldly enjoyment, worldly enjoyers, and women. Therefore, devotees of the standard of Sukadeva Goswami are never interested in seeing kings. Maharaj Parikshit was, of course, a different case. He was a great devotee, although a king, and Sukadeva Goswami came to see him in his last stage of life. Maharaj Parikshit, out of his devotional humility, felt himself an unworthy descendant of his great Kshatriya forefathers, although he was as great as his predecessors. The unworthy sons of royal orders are called Kshatriya Bandhavas. as the unworthy sons of the Brahmanas are called Dvija Bandhus or Brahma Bandhus. Maharaj Parikshit was greatly encouraged by the presence of Sukadeva Goswami. He felt himself sanctified by the presence of great saints, whose presence turns any place into place of pilgrimage. So worldly enjoyers and women, that means those engrossed in sense gratification. Their association is detrimental to the path of bhakti. Asat Sangha Tyaga Ej Vaishnavachara. This is called Asat Sangha, unwanted association. And especially for one who wants to go back to Godhead, we have to be very careful of such association. And that association can come through any medium, especially in this age of Kali Yuga, can come through right through the internet. So we should be very careful. Again, connected to the fact of, are we serious? Because if we're serious, then what does it mean? I can see how serious I am by the association that I keep. Because the association that I keep amplifies my consciousness, directs my consciousness. I'm absorbing all that energy of that association around me. So if I'm associated with worldly enjoyers and worldly women, then naturally it's going to permeate my consciousness. And then I want to chant Hare Krishna and think of Krishna. Good luck. Ain't going to work. It's like we may watch a Bollywood movie and the next day we want to try to chant Hare Krishna. It doesn't work. Because that energy is being absorbed. So our seriousness will dictate our association, virtually and physically. And that seriousness of virtual and physical association will then help and amplify my serious practice. Krishna is independent, Swarat, and we have minute independence. Therefore, we have freedom to choose whichever association I want according to my true inner intention. And my true inner intention will be reflected in my association, and it will also show Krishna one's seriousness. So therefore, if one wants to increase one's seriousness in practice of Krishna consciousness, then simply increase and intensify one's proper association. Now, does that mean that I shouldn't associate with worldly enjoyers? So Prabhupada says you can associate with them, but don't give them your heart. You can associate them to bring them closer to Krishna, but not the other way around. Just like when Prabhupada went to America, he came to give Krishna consciousness to the Americans and not the other way around. Not that the Americans gave him the American lifestyle. Prabhupada didn't go to America and start, wearing suit and tie and speaking like an American. I'm American. We can chant Hare Krishna, be Krishna conscious. No. Prabhupada went to America and started preaching to them in Sanskrit and making them devotees of Krishna, shaving heads, sika, dhoti, kurta. They became transformed. So Prabhupada didn't give them his heart in that sense. Oh, the other way around, sorry. Prabhupada didn't take their heart. Prabhupada gave his heart to them. They became infused and overpowered by Prabhupada's heart. So that is very, very important. As followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it is our duty to spread Krishna consciousness and give Krishna consciousness to others. But at the same time, we have to be very careful that we don't become contaminated. And it's very easy in today's world of social media to be, distracted and contaminated. Very easy. It's called likes. Somebody makes a statement, yeah, I like that. And somebody, dresses so loosely, I like that. You have to be very careful because it's getting imprinted in your consciousness. Your brain is getting wired. The more things that are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness that you liking, well, it's getting imprinted in your brain. Your brain is getting wired. And then you take your bead bag, which you also like, and trying to chant Hare Krishna, and you're wondering, taste is not there. Something's not working. Maybe this process doesn't work after all. Maybe everybody just, putting a show. There's no real substance to this thing. This is what happens. So we have to be very careful. We need to understand our priority. We need to understand what we need to do. There are many levels of activities going on in this world. And most of the activities that are going on in this world are beyond our control. But we need to understand, what should I be doing? See, Maharaj Parikshit, when he got cursed to die within 7 days, he did not consider about, oh yeah, now, if I leave the kingdom, I don't think my son will really manage, I'm very powerful, I need to really still be around and help him, just see how he's settling, guide him. No, Parikshit immediately, yeah, you take over now, it's you in charge, I'm out of here. His priorities, his focus was 100% on the purpose of going back to Godhead, on perfecting the art of dying. He could have had 101 questions or 101 reasons to stay behind. Just a few days ago, I met Kali, and I'm sure this is all due to Kali's influence. I need to stay and sort Kali out. So like that, he could have got 100, so many questions to do and be distracted, to do whatever he has to do and be distracted. But no. Let my son deal with the situation. I've handed over now. Not worried about that. So like that, there are many things going around in this world. There are many reactions or actions to, there are many reactions to the actions that people perform in this world, within the society, outside the society, within this universe. And we have to be very focused. What should I be doing? What's important for me? Let Krishna deal with the rest. And let me focus on what I need to do. That's what Maharaj Parikshit was doing. Let Krishna deal with the rest now. Krishna can deal with Kali. Krishna can deal with my son and the kingdom and the universe and whatever else is there. I need to deal with what is right in front of me, and that is death. So therefore, we also need to prioritize, and we need to understand. If we're going to keep commenting on every Facebook, that channel that we're following, then this becomes a distraction. And it also implicates us in many ways. So therefore, we have to be very, very selective. We have to be very careful. Because we may be innocently doing certain things, and that's innocently implicating us in karmic reaction and complicating our Krishna consciousness more and more and more. We have to try to focus on the positive aspect of Krishna consciousness and do what is necessary for that. And let Krishna deal with the rest, because Krishna can deal with everything else. So that's a very important lesson we can learn from Maharaj Parikshit. He was a great devotee, although a king. Okay, yeah, we read this. So Maharaj Parikshit is glorifying Sukadeva Goswami and thanking him for his association. And now he's going to, after glorifying, present his most important question, which he obviously had presented to the sages. Yes, some smaranat pumsam sadhya sudyanti vaigriha kim punar darshana sparsham padasocha sanabdi. Simply by our remembering you, our houses become instantly sanctified. And what to speak of seeing you, touching you, washing your holy feet, and offering you a seat in our home. Purport. The importance of holy places of pilgrimage is due to the presence of great sages and saints. It is said that the sinful persons go to the holy places and leave their sins there to accumulate. But the presence of great saints disinfect accumulated sins, and thus the holy places continue to remain sanctified by the grace of the devotees and saints present there. 5,000 years ago, Mother Ganges, she had this dilemma, and she presented this to Krishna. That, my Lord, what's going to happen? Now you're leaving. And many people are going to come and bathe in my bodies and deposit their sins. And I'm going to, be populated with such sins, and it's going to impact. How do I cleanse myself? And Lord Krishna said that when the mantra upasana devotee who preaches my holy name all over the world, when those devotees who are chanting Hare Krishna, when they come and bathe in your holy waters, they will absorb and dissolve the sins. So here also Prabhupada is making this point, that saintly persons have this power. They can purify the environment. If such saints appear in the homes of worldly people, certainly the accumulated sins of such worldly enjoyers become neutralized. Therefore, the holy saints actually have no self-interest with the householders. The only aim of such saints is to sanctify the houses of the householders. And the householders therefore should feel grateful when such saints and sages appear at their doors. A householder who dishonors such holy orders, he is a great offender. It is enjoined, therefore, that a householder who does not bow down before a saint at once must undergo fasting for the day in order to neutralize the great offense. The sages and saints, this is their purpose. They go house to house only to help the householders. One time a sannyasi knocked on the door. Bhikshandehi. Person opened the door, saw the sadhu, sannyasi. Naturally, didn't offer respects, didn't appreciate the saint. Yeah, these people are parasites. I know what. He wants donation, bhiksha. I'll give him charity. I'll give him something. So the person went in. There was a fireplace, took some ashes, and came, and the sannyasi had his cloth waiting for some charity. And this person came and dropped the ashes into his cloth. And the sannyasi was very happy. He said, "Thank you so much. Thank you very much." And he left. See, the sannyasi didn't get upset. Why? Because he understood that this is the beginning of their giving. Even though they just gave ashes, but at least they have begun the act of giving. It's one of the activities of a sannyasi, of a grihastha, is giving in charity. So at least they started the act of giving, even though it was ashes. And in this way, because he received it with such honor and appreciation, then they would get that punya, they would get that piety and advance. One devotee was making the point, Adri Gadarapra was making the point that in his village there would be one sage that would come and chant the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna mantra. And as a small boy, he would always come. It was, grade 1, grade 2, he was attracted when the sadhu would come and touch his feet and get blessings. So in this way, he would get blessings. So one day he approached this sadhu and asked him, what do you want? How can I serve you? And the sadhu said, I like to have a feast and serve all the brahmanas. So can you get me a bag of rice? And he was in grade 1 or 2. So as a small kid, he ran home and told his mother and father that the sadhu wants a bag of rice. Can we donate a bag of rice? And they were very happy. They facilitated and they donated 1 bag of rice. And he was making the point that the householders, the Griyamedis, they use many bags of rice. But the materialistic householders, those bags of rice is eaten and passed as stool. That's the only result. But this bag of rice that was given to the sadhu helps to liberate the family. So this is the benefit of a sadhu. Great sages, great devotees of the Lord. When we have the opportunity to serve them, and it's the greatest blessing. Like when Srila Prabhupada would visit people's homes, it was the greatest benediction, greatest blessings to be able to serve the pure devotee of the Lord. A lot of karmic reaction gets neutralized through this exchange. 34. Sanidhyate mahayogin patakani mahatyan mahantyapi sadyo nasyanti vaipumsam Vishnor eva suretara. Just as the atheists cannot remain in the presence of the personality of Godhead, so also the invulnerable sins of a man are immediately vanquished in your presence, O saint, O great mystic. There are 2 classes of human beings, namely the atheists and the devotees of the Lord. The devotee of the Lord, because of manifesting godly qualities, is called a demigod, whereas the atheist is called a demon. The demon cannot stand the presence of Vishnu, the personality of Godhead. The demons are always busy trying to vanquish the personality of Godhead, but factually, as soon as the personality of Godhead appears by either his transcendental name, form, attributes, pastime, paraphernalia, or variegatedness, the demon is at once vanquished. It is said that the ghost cannot remain as soon as the holy name of the Lord is chanted. The great saints and devotees of the Lord are in the list of his paraphernalia, and thus, as soon as the saintly devotee is present, the ghostly sins are at once vanquished. That is the verdict of all Vedic literatures. One is recommended, therefore, to associate only with saintly devotees so that worldly demons and ghosts cannot exert their sinister influence. So if you associate with saintly devotees, saintly people, here Prabhupada is using the adjective saintly devotees. So we want to associate with saintly devotees, and that purifies, that inspires us to surrender to Krishna. And if you associate with sinister, materialistic devotees, prakrit devotees, and that can dampen one's devotion. If you associate with atheistic devotees, then that can destroy one's bhakti. If you associate Mayavadi devotees, that can destroy one's bhakti. They're all devotees. Everyone is a devotee of Krishna. Everyone is part and parcel of Krishna. They're all servants of Krishna. They're all devotees. But you get different types of devotees. You get those who are impersonalists, those who are theistic, those who are materialistic, those who are saintly, those who are pure. So we want to be selective. We respect all devotees. We respect all servants of Krishna. We respect all living entities. Whether they surrendered or not, we respect all living entities. But we only associate with like-minded devotees, because that is conducive and nurtures our devotion to Krishna. 35. Api me Bhagavan Pritta Krishna Pandu Sutta Priya Kaitra Swaseshaya Seya Prityartham Tadgotrasyata Bandava. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is very dear to the sons of King Pandu, has accepted me as one of those relatives, just to please his great cousin brothers. A pure and exclusive devotee of the Lord serves his family interests more dexterously than others who are attached to illusory family members. Interesting start of a paragraph by Srila Prabhupada. When one becomes a devotee, naturally he's interested in the welfare of all living entities. And he also wants to help his immediate family members. And he is more interested in the real welfare of his family through his practice of Krishna consciousness. And he knows that by me practicing Krishna consciousness, that is the best way to help the family members, even if they're not interested. So by the practice of Krishna consciousness, we help everyone around us, including our family members. Generally, people are attached to family matters, and the whole economic impetus of human society is moving under the influence of family affection. Such deluded persons have no information that one can render better service to the family by becoming a devotee of the Lord. The Lord gives special protection to the family members and descendants of a devotee, even though such members are themselves non-devotees. So here we see Prabhupada is blessing us also. We don't need to worry about our family members. Yes, we encourage them, we give them association. That is all we do. We don't become upset, depressed, derailed by them not being Krishna conscious. We know Krishna's mercy is there. Why? Because I'm connected to Prabhupada. And the fact that I'm connected to Prabhupada, they are connected to me, therefore indirectly they connect to Prabhupada via me. And they're going to get blessing with Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is giving his blessings here. The Lord gives special protection to the family members and descendants of a devotee, even though such members are themselves non-devotees. Like I was saying, there are certain statements of Prabhupada that Krishna just looks out for. This is one of them. Krishna will make all arrangements for the family members to get his mercy because Prabhupada wants it. Maharaj Prahlad was a great devotee of the Lord, but his father Hiranyakashipu was a great atheist and declared enemy of the Lord. But despite all this, Hiranyakashipu was awarded salvation due to his being the father of Maharaj Prahlad. The Lord is so kind that he gives all protection to family members of his devotees, and thus devotees have no need to bother about his family members, even if one leaves such family members aside to discharge devotional service. Therefore, the best activity that one can perform for oneself, for those around you, and your family members, for generations that have left and generations to come, is devotional service. It is all auspicious for you, for those around you, and for your family members. Maharaj Yudhishthir and his brothers were the sons of Kunti, the paternal aunt of Lord Krishna. And Maharaj Parikshit admits the patronage of Lord Krishna because of his being the only grandson of the great Pandavas. So even though our family members even though we may not see it like this, that I'm benefiting my family members, that's okay. The fact is, Krishna blesses. 36. Anyatate vyakta gatir darshanam na katam nirinam nitaram Mri yamananam samsiddhasya vinavaniya. Otherwise, without being inspired by Lord Krishna, how is it that you have voluntarily appeared here, though you are moving incognito to the common man and are not visible to us who are on the verge of death? The great Sage Sukadeva Goswami was certainly inspired by Lord Krishna to appear voluntarily before Maharaj Parikshit, great devoted Lord, just to give him the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. One can achieve the nucleus of devotional service of the Lord by the mercy of the spiritual master and the supreme and the personality of Godhead. The spiritual master is the manifested representative of the Lord to help one achieve ultimate success. One who is not authorized by the Lord cannot become a spiritual master. Srila Sukadeva Goswami is an authorized spiritual master, and thus he was inspired by the Lord to appear before Maharaj Parikshit and instruct him in the teachings of Srimad Bhagavatam. One can achieve the ultimate success of going back to Godhead if he is favored by the Lord, sending his true representative. As soon as a true representative of the Lord is met by a devotee of the Lord, the devotee is assured a guarantee of going back to Godhead just after leaving the present body. This, however, depends on the sincerity of the devotee himself. Here, Prabhupada is emphasizing the same points that we've been repeating. Sincerity. So you may have a pure devotee, you may have the Bhagavatam, you may have everything, you may have Srila Prabhupada, everything. But it's all latching on your sincerity, because that sincerity will dictate how you take advantage or how you abuse. The Lord is seated in the heart of all living entities. Thus, He knows very well the movements of all individual persons. As soon as the Lord finds that a particular soul is very eager to go back to Godhead, the Lord at once sends His bona fide representative. A sincere devotee is thus assured by the Lord of going back to Godhead. The conclusion is that to get assistance and help of a bona fide spiritual master means to receive the direct help of the Lord Himself. So we can, without doubt, say that we have been guided by the Lord. How? Because Prabhupada is in our life. Prabhupada has given us the Bhagavatam. Prabhupada has given us so many things, so many gifts. That means we are directly helped by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And why did that come? We could say that it was due to our sincerity, and more so it was because of Srila Prabhupada's compassionate nature. So here's another interesting aspect. If you sincere, Krishna makes arrangements and brings you closer to him by sending you spiritual master, etc. If you're not sincere, Krishna doesn't make the arrangements. But the pure devotee of the Lord, if you're not sincere, he will still want to give you mercy. Therefore, the pure devotee is glorified more than Lord. Because the pure devotee gives mercy even to those who are not sincere. Consider Jagai and Madai. Krishna would never approach them. But Lord Nityananda did. So Prabhupada, he is approaching the Jagai and Madais and giving mercy of Krishna, even though Krishna would not even consider those souls because of the lack of sincerity and sinful lifestyle. But the pure devotee, he is happy to extend his compassionate nature. He does not see, are you pious? Do you have the credits? Then I'll give you mercy. No. He is supremely compassionate. 37. Ata prachami sam siddhim yoginam paramam gurum purushash yeha yat karya mriyamanasya sarvatam. You are the spiritual master of the great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show me the way of perfection for all those persons, and especially for one who is about to die. So now Maharaj Parikshit, after honoring Sukadeva Goswami, glorifying him, being grateful for his presence, has now presented. Please guide me, especially because I am about to die. Unless one is perfectly anxious to inquire about the way of perfection, there is no necessity of approaching a spiritual master. Spiritual master is not a kind of decoration for a householder. Generally, a fashionable materialist engages a so-called spiritual master without any profit. Pseudo-spiritual masters flatter the so-called disciple, and thereby both the master and his ward go to hell without a doubt. So if a guru exploits, he gets reaction. If a disciple exploits, he gets no spiritual benefit. Maharaj Parikshit is the right type of disciple because he puts forward questions vital to the interests of all men, particularly for dying men. The question put forward by Maharaj Parikshit is basic principle of the complete thesis of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now let us see how intelligently the great master replies. 38. Yat shrotavya ato japyam yat kartavyam nribipar prabho smartavyam bhajani yam va bruhi yadva viparyatam. Please let me know what a man should hear, shrotavyam, chant, japyam, smartavyam, remember, and worship, bhajanyam, and also what he should not do. Please explain all this to me. 39. Nunam bhagavato brahman griheshu grihamedinam na lakshyate avastanam apigo donam pachit. O powerful Brahmana, it is said that you hardly stay in the houses of men long enough to milk a cow. Saints and sages in the renounced order of life go to the houses of householders at the time they milk the cow, early in the morning, and ask some quantity of milk for subsistence. A pound of fresh milk from the milk bags of a cow is sufficient to feed an adult with all the vitamin values. And therefore, saints and sages live only on milk. Even the poorest of the householders keep at least 2 cows, each delivering 12 to 20 quarts of milk, and therefore no one hesitates to spare a few pounds of milk for their mendicants. It is the duty of householders to maintain the saints and sages as they maintain their children. So this is one of the duties of the householders, to maintain the saints and sages. So a saint like Sukadeva Goswami would hardly stay at the house of a householder for more than 5 minutes in the morning. In other words, such saints are very rarely seen in the houses of householders, and Maharaj Parikshit therefore prayed to him to instruct him as soon as possible. The householders also should be intelligent enough to get some transcendental information from visiting sages. The householders should not foolishly ask a saint to deliver what is available in the market. That should be the reciprocal relation between the saints and the householders. Now, in this age, we're so blessed that we can go into a household, sell them a book, and now leave the pure devotee there forever. This is the profound benediction that Prabhupada created. Just a few minutes of great saints like Sukadeva Goswami that benedicts the householders is so glorified and profound. Just consider, by Prabhupada's mercy, we are leaving Prabhupada to the householder. We are leaving the whole disciplic succession, and we're leaving all of Prabhupada's books just through that one book, which will link them to all of Prabhupada's books, the whole disciplic succession, and to the highest philosophy of Krishna consciousness. It's inconceivable. It has never been done in the history of this universe. So therefore, profound. 40. Suto vacha evam abha sita prishta saragnas Slakshnaya Gitkiram Pratyabhasata Dharamogna No Bhagavan Badara Yanai. Sri Sutta Goswami said, the king thus spoke and questioned the sage using sweet language. Then the great and powerful personality, son of Vyasadeva, who knew the principles of religion, began his reply. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 19th chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Appearance of Sukadeva Goswami, completed in 3 volumes on February 20th, 1965. This was in Vrindavan, the Vyasa Puja day, end of the first canto. Pantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Sukadeva Goswami ki jai, Maj Parikshit ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai, Go Pramanande, Hari Hari Bo. Right, thank you for everyone. If there's any questions or comments, please type that in the chat while you are typing any feedback, or if you want to unmute, you're most welcome to unmute and also share. We have completed the first canto, so many amazing lessons. And now Srimad Bhagavatam actually starts with the second canto. March, Sukadeva Goswami is actually going to start replying. And in essence, we already know what's coming because Prabhupada, in his brilliance, have already given that in the first canto of the Bhagavatam. Next week, we will not be having class because we will be doing, it is this month of Kartik, starting on the 28th, Saturday. We will be doing the program at ISKCON Malaysia, starting at 5 o'clock. It was 5 o'clock, let me just check. Timing. Yeah, starting at 5 o'clock, so I'll be there. Right, let's see if there's any questions. Mother Les says, Hare Krishna Prabhu, thanks for the glorious Krishna Katha. Canto 1 is so pleasing. Enlightening and satisfying. Through you, we are given an opportunity to make progress in devotional service, reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you. Thank you very much. By your association and your presence, I'm encouraged to speak and share whatever little I know to purify me and keep me in the fire of Krishna consciousness. We are interdependent, mutually interdependent. Therefore, we need each other. Question 1. Is it good understanding to think the reason why Sukadeva Goswami was chosen to speak Bhagavatam instead of his father, who was also present in the assembly of the great personalities, devotees, possibly one? Krishna wanted to glorify his great devotee Sukadeva Goswami, correct? And 2, to firmly establish Sukadeva Goswami in the parampara. Yeah, so there may be many reasons why Krishna chose Sukadeva Goswami to speak. From our acharyas, in terms of Rasa Tattva, Sukadeva Goswami is Sukha, Krishna's parrot. And when Radha and Krishna were leaving, they told Sukha, the parrot, to stay behind. And that parrot was 5,000 years ago, seeing and witnessing all of Krishna's pastimes, and also witnessing the pastimes and the love and devotion of the gopis. And that same parrot, as Sukadeva Goswami, was able to perfectly share the ultimate truth, or the highest level of love and devotion amplified by the gopis, in line with the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and give us access to that. So in this way also, that is why Krishna told Sukha to stay behind. that he needs to render this service. And then Krishna facilitated for Sukha to speak. Because we know the pastime of Sukha going into the mouth of the wife of Vyasadeva, going to a womb and then coming out as Sukadev. And now we are hearing. So therefore, the Bhagavatam is even more relishable because it is spoken by a Vrajbasi, by someone who is a resident of Vrindavan. And then for us, Srila Prabhupada, who's also a resident of Vrindavan, is digesting and assimilating that wisdom. And after chewing that, is giving that to us as prasadam through his Bhaktivedanta purports, and therefore even more tasty and more relishable. It says when a parrot eats a fruit, pecks on a fruit, that fruit becomes more tasty. So like that, by Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purports, the Bhagavatam is even more relishable for us. Yes, so there are many reasons, as you mentioned, to glorify Sukadeva Goswami, but this was Krishna's plan to really give us access through Sukadeva Goswami, who's a very close associate of Radha and Krishna, parrot of Radha and Krishna, to give us access to this highest knowledge of Vraja Bhakti, the highest love of the residents of Vrindavan. Question 2. What type of karma is being worked off for someone who is lactose intolerant, cannot have milk even from a young age? Yeah, it may be difficult to figure out what type of karma. No doubt there is some karma. If one, has been abusing cows previously, now you can't drink milk, getting that blessing. So they may be different. There may be different deficiencies in terms of them. Because remember, karma is not necessarily what you did in your past. See, most people sometimes misunderstand this aspect of karmic law. They think, I did something in my past, therefore I'm here. No, you could have done something right now. If I put my hand right now in the fire, I can lose my hand. It may have nothing to do with my past. It's my independent negligence, because I'm free to act. Even now, I can put my hand in the fire and I can remove my hand. So my parents may have done something wrong. And therefore, that may implicate me in this world. Okay, so there may be, vitamin deficiencies. It may be certain subtle impacts. It may be past karmic reaction. So there may be different things. And it's also not that it cannot be reversed. Certain things are very subtle. So if you clean the subtle aspects, you can become tolerant again. So there may be different things that one can obviously analyze and check in terms of what's causing that. At the same time, we also want to try to make sure that we drink fresh milk. It's coming directly from cows. Because, again, ahimsa, we don't drink ahimsa milk. That's coming from real cows that are looked after. That may also have a different impact. Amavati Radhika, Hari, beautiful. We are so grateful. We finished the first canto. Thank you for creating this wonderful opportunity for all of us. We are so grateful and truly blessed. Also, wanted to especially mention, thank you for the beautiful pictures of Krishna on each slide, most enchanting, captivating. Yes. These classes are divine nectar. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada. All glories to your grace. Thank you very, very much. Most inspiring lighting. We're learning so much each week, an opportunity to apply that week. Waiting for next week's lesson, following week. All right. Thank you very much, Amavati Radhika. Shamananda Prabhu says, thank you for the wonderful class and going through first canto with everyone. Srila Prabhupada again explains everything nicely in the purport. Important how he mentions saintly devotees. Also, the word used in one of the purports, physiognomy, the practice of assessing a person's character and their personality from their outer appearance, especially the face. Yes, and the sages were good at this, so therefore they could obviously just check. They could read the features of Sukadeva Goswami and immediately could understand. So much we learn just by hearing from Srila Prabhupada and Srimad Bhagavatam. Thanks for mentioning that. We can't stress enough the impact of putting a book in someone's hand, getting them to take the book home, etc., so that Srila Prabhupada Acharyas can preach to them. Hare Krishna, yes. That is the reality and the fact which we cannot avoid. Prabhupada's glory, Prabhupada's mercy. Wonderful. Thank you very much for everyone's feedback. We will not have class next week, but definitely continue the following week. We will keep you informed in the chat. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go Pramanande, Hari Hari.